Okay, here's the deal. I just had a coffee and some peanut butter banana sandwiches. My belly is full, and my heart is overflowing with love for a particular video game, so let's review it. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm happy to tell all of you that in my opinion, it is a landmark title for the Nintendo Switch. A game that will be remembered for generations to come, and for a series as renowned with a history as deep, filled to the brim with stellar titles like The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom cements a place in its highest of echelons. Creativity, imagination, innovation, iteration. These are the pillars from which Tears of the Kingdom creates its experience, for better or for worse. A game that has its issues, plenty of them, and we will get to them. But for a game to have these issues and still be this well crafted is a testament to the strength of the game. Breath of the Wild was a return to square one for the Zelda franchise, a return to its NES origins, where the game dropped you into an open world and gave you no instruction, and it was up to you, the player, to find your way and play the game in your own unique style. Breath of the Wild differed from many of the Zelda titles from years past that many fans were familiar with, but in my opinion was quintessentially Zelda due to its inherent feeling of adventure that is unmistakably Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom iterates on the same world but expands on it, and has you see that familiar world of Hyrule through a different lens, with a fresh perspective, foregoing many of its peaceful, immersive elements that Breath succeeded with in order to get you, the player, and to quote Ganondorf, "Do not look away, you witness a king's revival." That quote epitomizes the feeling and atmosphere of Tears of the Kingdom. Tears relies more on that sense of scale, epicness, blending the color-saturated palettes of the sky with the darkness Zelda can invoke on occasion with titles like Majora or Twilight Princess. It blends these styles together to keep the player on their toes and to allow the player to mix up their experiences to keep the game feeling fresh both mechanically, story-wise, and visually. And auditorially. The game leans more on its creativity and imagination, becoming a true sandbox adventure, enabling every drop and tool to be utilized in fun and creative ways only limited by the player's imagination or the game's snapping feature, allowing players to create custom vehicles from components in their possession or in the overworld, to traverse its varied environments, climates, and landscapes, to soar to the very heavens, or delve into its darkest depths. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is simply brilliance manifested into a video game. It retains a few weaknesses from the Breath of the Wild formula, including, but not limited to, weapon durability being too low, to dungeon design being far too formulaic, and the game even adds a new weakness to its repertoire with the sky, in my opinion, that itself feels far too underdeveloped with repeated puzzles and simplistic archipelagos that end up feeling too samey compared to the intro area Great Sky Island. The Great Sky Island offers a blueprint, a return to smaller scale 3D Zelda design, where each area could be carefully and masterfully constructed to give the player a more streamlined experience compared to the vast offerings on the ground. It was a great change of pace, however, that is limited only to the Great Sky Island, which in my opinion is the greatest shame of the game. However, the depths is utterly fantastic, showcasing how a simple change in lighting and progression can make a map with the same topological features to the surface feel different and fresh, mixing the gameplay up while offering an incredible atmosphere alongside the varied weather effects of the surface and sky. Tears of the Kingdom is utterly captivating and immersive, and it accomplishes this through brilliant art direction and the utilization of multiple styles of simplistic and straightforward progression. Oh, you want more battery packs for your vehicles? Go into the depths and find some Zonite to convert into a resource to increase your pack. Oh, you want more hearts and stamina? Go to dungeons, or do the various shrines that offer bite-sized challenges scattered across the surface and sky. Oh, you want to go rebuild a town? Follow the rumors that you may find scattered about in the overworld of a town overrun by pirates and embark on a quest line to clear them out and to rebuild. Oh, do you want horses? Heed the advice of the horse god. or find your own and train them up and receive numerous benefits by visiting the various stables across the world. You want better weapons? Better go fight stronger enemies for better drops as you slowly level up your world to unlock tougher and tougher enemies for even better drops that you can fuse onto basic weapons to make them very strong. The game achieves an engaging and rewarding level of complexity through interweaving numerous simplistic paths of progression together. Sure, if you proceed along any one path and try and farm any one thing for too long, it can get stale and repetitive because remember, each of these different paths of progression are simplified in their own right. They're very straightforward, and if you do any of those one things for too long, it can get repetitive. However, in my opinion, that's the beauty of Tears of the Kingdom's formula, where you can simply take a break and go do something else in the game. Enough of the surface, delve into the depths to get Zonite for battery or for more light routes or for any number of quests. Done with the depths, okay, head to the sky to find gotcha ball dispensers for vehicle components on top of shrines. You're tired of side content? Maybe go do a main dungeon and unlock a new ability that you can utilize for other pieces of side content. Or maybe train up those horses or add pictures to the compendium. Find the various geoglyphs to unlock memories. Or complete any number of side quests, or maybe go monster farming. It's simple, but pure and just fun in my opinion. And sure, it takes a little bit for the formula to truly click. At least for me, it took me a little bit. But as a brief aside, I received a bit of a leg injury. So for a little bit there, I wasn't able to do much. However, what I did do was play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and all of a sudden, a game that was kind of like, okay, this is a really good game, but I'm not sure if this is clicking for me, turned into, I must play this game, I have so many things I want to do, I want to do A, B, C, and D. I was thinking about playing the game when I wasn't playing it. Everything just started to click for me. And once it clicked, it became a ball that wouldn't stop rolling, and I was utterly captivated. The story itself, and don't worry, I'll warn you when I move to spoilers, is both strong and isn't. See, this is going to be a bit contentious. I think Tears relies on flashbacks and memories a bit too much. Kind of like how Breath of the Wild did, but to a lesser extent. The 4 dungeon storylines were well handled in my opinion, and I really grew to appreciate and like those characters. But now let's transition to a bit of a spoiler discussion from here on out. Okay, ready in 3, 2, 1. So the memories, oh the memories. Right, as a whole, they are really cool, detailing Zelda's travels to the past version of Hyrule, meeting Rauru and Sonia, helping to seal Ganondorf until the current game, and her turning into a dragon. That part was especially cool. And we got the Ganondorf laugh, so I mean, come on. It's straightforward, but interesting in its own right, and paints Ganondorf as a legitimate threat, somewhat, while using provocative imagery. It's really cool. However, Tears of the Kingdom is a very long game, and if you are like me and want to experience the story at once, well, maybe you did all the geoglyphs back to back over the course of maybe 1 or 2 hours in total, and then you're done. And compared to how much time you put into the rest of the game, and how the 4 sages kind of feel like side arcs in an anime kind of, the ratio between story and playtime is a bit low in my opinion. When I play a game for this long, I want a bit more story to really sink my teeth into. I do have one kind of major story complaint, and, well, 2, but one of them is Ganondorf. Now, don't get me wrong, the model is really cool, and I love his skeletal form, and just how macabre that all is. That was really menacing and dark, and I love it when Zelda does stuff like that. Slight issue, he never felt like a threat to me. Like, sure, you have the one memory of him leading an attack on Hyrule that Rauru puts down in 2 seconds flat, and then really the only victory he actually has is backstabbing Sonia. And then he beats the other sages, which we don't really see all that much. And then Ganondorf gets sealed, and then when we fight him, I was so powerful at the time, right? Because I did a lot of the content in the game before I actually beat the story. So he barely did any damage, and I just kind of rolled over it. But look, I won't lie to you. That dialogue, though, for Ganondorf, oh, it's S tier. Do not look away. You witness a king's revival. That might be my new favorite Zelda quote. It's so good. It captures the cockiness of Ganondorf, his aspirations, and how big of a threat that he is, all in that one line. It's so mwah! Matt Mercer nailed it with that one. And I really like how Zelda herself gets a story of her own detached from Link. However, Dang it, do I wish they would just make her a character who followed alongside us on our journey or something. I don't want to see a Third Breath-styled game where the plot turns into, hey, Zelda's gone, let's go rescue her. Like, yeah, it is a Legend of Zelda game, and they do the princess is missing trope. At the same time, though, I think Zelda's a really good character, especially in Breath and Tears. Like, yes, the memories exist, but for who is probably my favorite iteration of Zelda, I freaking wish that she was more present in the game. Like, you don't have to make her a traveling partner, you can have her do her own thing in the world, but can we have it do stuff in the overworld, and let us quest with her on occasion, and perhaps have her team up with Link as well sometimes? Like, I wish they would have Link and Zelda interact way more than they have these past 2 games, especially since one of our main motivations is supposed to be safeguarding Zelda or finding her. The only time we ever really see these two together are the memories from Breath of the Wild, which were excellent, and the beginning and end of Tears, both of which were great. Which also happens to be some of my favorite story in this series. I just kind of want more of that. Let Ganondorf be a more active threat, not just within the constraints of memories, have him be there each step of the way. Let us lose to him or take losses because of him, and let Ganondorf trash talk us as he tries to power himself up or something. Like, imagine we have to scale all of Death Mountain with Yunobo in tow, as Link and Zelda make their way all the way up there, only to find Ganondorf has already won and acquired one of the Tears or something, and he just looks towards the camera and gives his iconic line, "Do not look away, you witness a king's revival." And then we fight him or something, and maybe he wins, or he knocks us all the way down Death Mountain into the Fire Temple, and we have to go then do that dungeon. How cool would that have been? Or something along those lines. I want Ganondorf to feel like a more active, legit threat to me. I think more often than not, when it comes to Breath and Tears, Nintendo tries and be too safe when it comes to the balance between story and the gameplay, and elects to keep the story in the past, so they don't have to worry about pacing it in the overworld or changing things too much. Whereas I think that comes at a great detriment to how engaging the narrative can truly be. There's so many things like that, where if they just alter their approach, I feel this Breath and Tears formula could take an even greater step up in the story department, and even the gameplay department. Take the fuse mechanic, an absolutely brilliant way to iterate on the weapon system of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But imagine something along these lines. You have a collection of base weapons that no longer break, but the fuses do. So we could upgrade base weapons or craft different base weapons and store them for later, but to those base weapons we can fuse various components to them for different effects, different buffs or attributes. It would up the RPG feel, in my opinion, and eliminate much of the annoyance of the durability system that can crawl up from the depths on occasion. You can tweak it or change it a bit, but I really feel like the idea of having non-breakable base weapons is the play to go for the next game. Just to eliminate that feeling of, oh cool, I found a rock that I really want to mine, but oh no, I already broke my last hammer weapon. So now I either have to use a bomb and then go on a freaking around the world in 80 days adventure to try and find where the ore lands, or always make sure that one of my weapon slots is taken up just for a hammer, and then another one for an axe for trees. Like, it's an unnecessary piece of friction in a game that really doesn't need it, in my opinion. Where I feel that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom relies too much on a principle of giving the player several different annoyances to only give them the key to alleviating said annoyance later on. And this has been a discussion in the MMO community for quite a while. I love MMOs myself, and I remember this one guy, Preach Gaming, brought up a great point to me. Not to me, he made a video and I watched it. Don't make mechanics that is simply there to annoy the player. Give them something that makes the experience cooler. Like slipping in the rain, like what is this? Oh, if you no longer want to slip whenever the game deems it wants to rain up for a bit, go get the frog suit. That's not adding to the experience, it's just eliminating an annoyance. Like, imagine if instead of just making it so you don't slip, what if it made it so, I don't know, you could shield surf down slippery cliffs or something, without having to fear gravity? Does it make all that much sense? No, but it's cool. Also, a minor annoyance to me, where's the hookshot? Like, it's an open-world Zelda game. The hookshot, or even the dual shot preferably, would be a perfect addition. I don't know, maybe add it in the Tears of the Kingdom DLC? Just imagine being able to use the hookshot to travel between various sky islands. That would be so cool. I think there are spots and moments, both in gameplay and story, where Breath and Tears tries to deviate from the 3D Zelda formula to make their own identity, whereas if they leaned and relied more on those traditional elements, I think it would be a better game for that. The dungeons themselves feel very formulaic and boil down to hit 4 or 5 switches then fight a boss fight. And to be fair, bosses, except for that Wind Temple jabroni, I'm not sure what that fight was, are a massive step up. And the Ganondorf fight itself, despite being very easy for me like I said before, was fun, varied, with multiple phases containing differing mechanics, which I found very fun, and I love to see that. Heck, I wish more fights were designed like the Ganondorf fight. But there's many little aspects or different singular aspects about this game that I want to make a video on to go into more detail than I can here. But God, the creativity and imagination, a true sandbox open world game in my opinion, that operates under the same principle that there are no correct methodologies, only correct answers. And however you get to that answer, the game will let you. If it's efficient, if it's inefficient, if it's cool, if it's dangerous or reckless, so long as you get the answer, you're good. And I love Tears of the Kingdom for that. So I'm gonna call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games if you can, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload and stream in the future. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again.